show,
Jo,
as we were just speaking.
jo.
Gospel of Thomas, which looks like this. So pretty much nobody ever can read it, yet there are people who have deciphered it and even explain it to us. So we're reading Ether, Pirates of Materium, Clif High on Substack.com, and we're reading The Eyes to See, Tom's book examined. So we read Logian 1 previous time, this time Logian 2. Jesus said, "Let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all." Though frequently cited as the blueprint for Jesus' spiritual path, Logian 2 is rarely understood. This is a push to keep to the works and is warning about success, and also one of the few promises made by Jesus to those who follow the way. In this, Jesus is saying that you will find if you seek, but you don't find by reading the words over and yet again. You find by changing your perception, your understanding of how he is using the words. Then, as Jesus warns, once you do find, that is, once your perception has shifted so that you do have eyes to see, you will become troubled by your new vision. He is warning you that your new perception will be very disturbing, which it will. As one sees what Jesus saw, their perception of this common shared reality alters deeply. They will become troubled. It's a natural thing. It's possible to go on at length about this troubled mind. Suffice it to say that Jesus also promised release from the troubles in the form of astonishment. Next, Jesus provides warning about your mind being troubled when you do actually see, as there is a real potential for madness in the level of perception change that allows you to walk his way. At the point of becoming troubled by the shift in perception about our common shared reality, there is no going back. The old perception cannot be recovered. It's forward to the salvation of the promised astonishment or madness. Many fail to continue for many reasons. None ever return to their former life. With the release of the promised astonishment, also Jesus says, and he will rule over the all. It's very important to read clearly. Jesus is not saying you will be badass and rule all. He is explicit in all his language. A marker for those who do know. They use words very precisely. Jesus, once you become astonished, you will rule the all. Not all things, not everything, and in fact, no things are mentioned. It is the all that is to be your domain. You will rule the all. In this understanding, Jesus is speaking of the contents of this ever-present, eternal now. Those contents are referred to as the all by humans who travel this way. Those contents of this eternal now only and always exist in your mind. The all is the event stream within this eternal now, just at the point of it expressing into matter. The event stream flows out ceaselessly from the Father, the pleroma, and as it is flowing, it is malleable to the dynamics of the human mind. This is the great secret hidden in these sayings. Jesus is talking about co-creating, that is, manifesting your reality. The troubled mind and the astonishment are both the realization of this eternal now and the event stream. First, the troubled mind arises due to the shock of seeing the common shared reality shaping itself in front of your eyes. Then the astonishment flows into you as you realize that the pleroma, the Father flowing into the event stream, is supreme consciousness, and that it will respond to your influence on how the common shared reality manifests. The troubled mind first sees only how shaky and the ephemeral is the manifest reality. Then, in nearly in same instant, for those who do not recoil into madness, there is the astonishment that will define the rest of your days in this manifest reality, and perhaps far longer. What thought? Oh my goodness. This is one of the books because I read every now and then, but this is the book that I literally have to read and I still have to figure out what was actually being said. That's why this is the opening book that we read in the book club because we really want to understand what is meant here because it's a very, very densely packed couple of paragraphs. What do you think?
Well, isn't that everyone with age start seeing things what they truly are, and just mostly we are really disturbed by that when once we realize what the real life is all about. It comes with age. When you're younger, you have your ideals, you're naive, and the longer you live, the more you get disappointed in reality, in people, in the cruelty of everywhere around you, and that probably drives you mad when you see the reality.
That's one way of looking at. And as we go deeper and deeper, we'll find more and more layers of meanings within the simplest words. And you can see how cleverly you have to pick those exact words in the ancient language in which it was written, and then choose and translate so the meaning is conveyed in the same a little few amount of words. And it goes so deep. I personally am not content that I read and understood everything what was there. So uh, let's just go through the text again and ensure that we understood every word that is being said, because this is the point. You know, you have a text which is seemingly um, detailed, deep, and inspiring, so you wouldn't want to miss what is the meaning behind those words. So we go in Logian 2. So it's like literally the second point. He made the first point. So what was the first point? Who even remembers? It was like last week, and it's like 2 million years in goldfish memory years. These are the hidden sayings of the living Jesus spoke, and Didymus Thomas Judas recorded, and he said, whoever finds the interpretation of these things will not taste death. So whoever finds the interpretation will not taste death. So the understanding was that there is no taste of death, merely the transition from one state of being to another in a progression to yet another body's life, which we also lived in this eternal now. Essentially, time doesn't exist. How many times have you said, oh, there's no time, there's no time? So really the truth here is proven here that time does not exist. There's only the ever-present now, which we are inhabiting right now. And not anymore that one, but now again this one. So, but always at the same time, only the ever-present now. So we have let him who seeks continue seeking until he finds. So this is clearly about finding the understanding, meaning under all things, and which we are doing also as part of this analysis of the text we just read. When he finds, he will become troubled. When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished, and he will rule over the all. If we just think about that, we go older and then we figure out how bad things really are, or we just become more of awareness or more skeptical with experience. Some of the bliss of the life, initial first time touch of the thing is a little bit not quite there yet. But even with all that, would we say at the end of that, and he will rule over the all? Is this understanding now able to give us the power to rule over the all? Just, that there's inevitable degradation in quite many things over time.
Just most people don't get the past, the troubled past, because that when he becomes troubled, he stays troubled. That's just, or tries not to think about. So life ignorance is more peaceful. Like what is it, like three paragraphs down, when it says, then as Jesus warns, once you do find, that is, once your perception has shifted so that you do have the eyes to see, you will become troubled by your new vision. And I think
Yes.
most people have this new vision, but they just tend to ignore it, to blunt it, or to forget it, or not to avoid it, because it's just too harsh. It's basically, it's madness. Yeah, when you realize how the world around you actually works and interacts, and how people interact with each other on the basis of hate and envy and greed.
And then with this understanding, they never go further. They just stay with, okay, you
Yeah,
become troubled with your
exactly.
new vision, and that's it. But you don't make
Exactly.
the jump to.
He tries to make a steps back because that new vision is so disturbing, so doesn't help with daily grind, which is, chase the rat race, what it is, as they say.
So he has to become astonished then. How
Yes,
do you
exactly.
translate that?
When he becomes troubled, he will be astonished. So he automatically will become astonished. Yeah. Well, not sure.
Exactly. That's the point. That is the point of this whole thing, because this whole logian, it comes like a one package. Is this guy here, the author of the book? So he took, like, this is his note intro, and he says, well, I saw this guy, and then he said that. And this is the actual quote.
Yeah.
So the second one is the second quote, and he already, after promising that there's no taste of death, only the transition from one state into another, he already says he will become astonished, because he who seeks will seek until he finds how does the underlying reality function. And when he finds that mechanism, he will become really troubled. Like he's like, oh, what is this really going on like that? This is like really, really surprising. Is this how reality is being created? And then he becomes really worried about that. And then instantly we realize it's everything is possible. The reality is just happening all at the same time, and you can steer and choose and pick what the next thing is gonna be, what you're gonna continue as. At every given point in your life, you have the power to say no, the most powerful word in the universe. This is not how this story is gonna complete. And you steer it into completely another direction. And that would be your power that allows to rule over the all. Like from your inside your own body, you are also a point of input that changes the emerging reality. That's how I'm translating it. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
So this is just another way, and quite possibly one of the origins or one of the best summaries of a thing that's been known by many names and displayed at many times by various explanations and translations, which is the science of manifestation in this materium. How things become real, and how, once you understand how they become real, you can steer it with your own mind, or how to rule the universe without making the hospital staff notice. So essentially, we pretty much have covered the logic. So somebody who seeks how the mechanism of reality functions, he finds it out, and then he sort of knows it, and he thinks like, hold on, I can change things. So frequently science is a blueprint. We should keep it works. One of the promises, one of the few promises made by Jesus to those who follow the way. So there is the way. So we're going to call it, the way of. One of the few promises. The promise is he's going to be doing that, then, if that, if that. And he says that the way of finding the thing is not by reading it again and again. We're reading it again and again right now because we need to understand what's actually going on. But you find it by changing your perception, your understanding of how he's using these words. Once you find perception is shifted, you will become troubled. So the perception is going to be very disturbing. It's not only about slow, gradual progress of accumulating experience and wear on the moist robot you're carrying around. It's about the new way of seeing the world, a new way of understanding that your eyes is not only a receptor but also a radiator of reality. It also projects out what you expect to see, and these are the two things, mechanisms, items that is used by the little consciousness in the back of your head of this moist robot that steers all of these things around. And you understand that you can influence all of this as all of this is becoming a reality, which sounds very simple, but once you see it through the eyes of this book, at least it was quite profound for me. Suffice to say, promise to release the troubles of so release. So of course you become astonished. There is no going back. So there you go. That's another thing, that once you understand this, and it's quite a bit of a thought work, you have to probably a few times you have to read this even up until this far and study a whole ton of other message, because sometimes the things you need to find in life, you understand only what is being said to you, even on the same exact words, but once it's done for 1,000 times, then you finally understand. Oh, really? That must have been the truth. So once you understand, there is no going back once you get some of those realities fully integrated, how the mechanism is functioning. None of them return to the former life. There's no going back once you have understood what's being said in this book. The old perception cannot be recovered, which means that it's not about just simple going of years into in a great accumulation to have like, okay, now I sort of see things a different way. It's like a realization that hits you almost like an instant after you've thought about it for long enough time, you realize. And then you start to feel those things, how you can influence and what the pleroma is and what does it look like. And he will rule over the all. And that's when you can take this malleable reality and out of like a plasticine, you can create whatever you want it to be. He is explicit in language. You will rule the all. Not all things, not other things, not things that are mentioned. Now, no things are even mentioned. It is the all that is to be your domain. You will rule the all because you are one with the universe. One change, even the name itself, unum versum, one verse, one verse, one line of word, one line of code, and you change it by what you put out in this universe. So you are inputting your own vibration, your own pulse. You are ruling the all with what you put out of this world. Because the world is built like a mirror of sorts. What you think of most of the time is the strangest secret, as this message was said into words of Earl Nightingale. You will rule the all. In this understanding, Jesus is speaking of the contents. The contents is referred to as the all of by humans who travel this way. Those contents of the eternal now only and always exist in your mind. So you will rule the all from your mind. Because there are some movies, you've probably seen one or two, and there's like a big capsule in which Neo is sleeping in, and everything else is just neurons feeding electricity to the body and to the brain, and which interprets as a whole real life 3D world, aka the Matrix. Maybe this is the Matrix. Maybe part of this we need to read this book. I have a drink of. If you think there's nothing more to add, I'll just see how much more is in this story that we need to understand. So the all that we are ruling, right? You will rule the all. The all is the event stream within this eternal now, just at the point of expressing into matter. Because that is the moment when you realize all of the thoughts of all the people before you who built this house, who put together this electricity and made the cables of this internet, and made the people who can interact with each other through internet and read another third, fourth persons, all of that energy from beforehand that made all of these elements come together are now making this reality real at this very moment, in this ever present now. Right now, this is happening. We are able to produce this kind of a matter, but it was only possible because everything else that came before. So one of the messages behind this, when you focus on something and work on for many, 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 many years, that at one point that spring can now unload and you can now deliver all of this information to the world. And this is the moment we are able, used to, because of all of this effort that has been put in by everybody, we're now finally are able to read this and try to understand it. And the event stream flows out ceaselessly because all of the time, they say, oh, it's going to run out of time. There's never out of time because time doesn't exist and it's being created anew every new second. Because it's only the ever present now. All the 22 trillion times a second. Manifestation and destruction. This is the great hidden secret in these sayings. Jesus is talking about co-creation or manifesting into reality. You focus on a thing that you need to have done and put in effort, and then it's going to happen. But it's just much more easier. You only need to really focus and imagine that end state and live with an emotion as if you are already living in that reality. And then you put out that energy out of the world and it responds as soon as it's caught up to your persistent, consistent energy, you put it out into the world. Focus on one thing you want to manifest. Because reality is very malleable and it listens carefully to you. And it's going to give to you what you think about most of the time. Focus well. I think that's good. Do you have more things to say?
Trouble mind first sees only how shaky.
Yeah. How shaky and ephemeral is the manifest reality, because once you realize how it is coming into being, you see that, hold on, but actually I can change things. I can do whatever. I can. There was another great example of this effect, which was performed by Scott Adams. God bless his soul. And he's one of the podcasts, he was explaining that you can do this with your own reality, how you can change things. You just close your eyes and really, really focus and imagine that once you're going to open those eyes, everything around you is going to look and feel extremely real, but it's going to be 3D reality. But it's all made out of, you're actually inside a 3D video game. And that is one of very helpful allegories, how to look at this world and to understand. Because in a game, you just have a joystick and you can control everything. And here in this life, you have a body with which you control everything. But the principle is the same. You can change everything. But you can change everything, even not only with your hands, but with your mind. That was good. We'll see each other in a week.
Thank you. Good night.